1/4 mile, turn right on West Carachamacas Street. Turn right on West Carachamacas Street.
Tucson lays below.
In 1/4 mile, turn left on North Wade Road. Turn right at the stop sign. Arrive at Titan Missile Museum on the left.
So there's no camera here, but you pick up the phone, you give the code of the day. They just say, let me in. You did the code in here. Then you open the door. And you come in. And it would lock. Now we're entrapped. We can't go downstairs until we give them the right. So you open this, and the TV camera there would see that it's, if there's supposed to be two of us, there better be two. If it's supposed to be one, there better be one. I put the right code in, put the phone down, they say okay, and then they unlock this door, the airbase. So then we go down 55 feet. Now this isn't protected from a nearby blast. The silo was by the 740-ton silo closure door. But this stuff was considered expendable because in theory the crew was already down here. If there was a nearby, if we were at war, the crews would be in the silo. They would be trying to get to the silo. So you have a pair of blast doors here, blast doors 6 and 7, and 8 and 9 protect from a blast from the side. They were interlocked by this mechanism. So you could, just like the submarine, airlock on a submarine or a spacecraft, you don't have both doors open at once. You can see the stuff is, there's protects from, so that's block 101, this is blast block 102, and this, as I said, that protects from a blast from the surface, and this protects from a blast from the silo. When they had the accident at Little Rock, the explosion there was a half-filled glass of Coke on the commander's panel, and after the explosion it was still there, not a drop had spilled. So in terms of safety, that was kind of, and that's because this whole thing could flex slightly if there was a nearby blast. You can see again the slack in the cables, so that if there is a problem, they don't snap. I know we're one of the smallest bridges in the world because that's the rattle space. This whole thing is on, it's a 3-story building and it's on this set of, these sets of springs. So this whole thing, you can actually, one person can go downstairs and get this thing swinging. That's how well balanced it is. So upstairs was the living quarters, and that's where the crew was. We had the crew consisted of a missile combat crew commander who sat here, and if you'd like to sit here, you can. And they all come in real time, as I said before, but if you slow this down, you would see individual lights come on as appropriate. Okay, this is what they call the launch clock, and that's what they called, excuse me, the lunch clock, and that's what they call the lunch clock, because that's what they, no, this is, I'm sorry, this is local time. So this is the lunch clock, and that's the launch clock. Okay. So, if we were going to have a message come in, you'd hear the alarm go off, then they would go to the safe, and two officers would use their locks, which they brought in when they came in on duty, and they would open the safe and pull out cards. And yeah, Chuck said these are an example of what the missile combat crew commander would be over here, and I put my key in, and then you as combat crew commander would say, go ahead and put your hand on it, but don't turn it. You would say, when I say 3, 2, 1, then turn keys. So 3, 2, 1, turn keys, go ahead and turn, hold until the lights come on.
Okay.
Okay, let go. It's spring mounted. So you had to turn the keys within 2 seconds of each other and hold. That way one person couldn't turn both keys. So this is the launch sequence. The batteries are activated. The batteries on board had to have their electrolyte forced into the battery, stored in a balloon-like container. And then the batteries were activated by puncturing that and forcing the electrolyte in. APS power, that means you have auxiliary power supplies on, the batteries are activated. Silo soft, we'll hear an alarm go off as the silo begins to open. Guidance go, the guidance system, which is over here, guidance system gets ready to launch the missile. Fire engine, we have an alarm go off that is the, now where's the, how am I going to turn that off? Guess I'm not. The fire and the, yeah, it turns itself off. So that says engines have ignited. About 4 seconds after ignition, there's enough energy to launch the missile. It's gone. There's nothing we can do to call it back, because if we could do that, in theory the Soviets could. So once it actually left the silo, it was history. We could abort any time during the launch sequence until liftoff. And that was done by this button here. The guidance system's here. You put in a punch tape, came in here, a Mylar tape, and then they'd read it back out to make sure the right target. So you could load 3 targets. The primary target was target 1, and then target 2 and 3. And you could change from air burst to ground burst by simply turning the key. The crew didn't select that. That was obviously selected by the SAC. But that was how easy it was to turn the key, to change the target. Okay, let's go down to the missile, and then we'll go down rocket fuel and clothing outfits. And they were used by anybody who was getting near the propellants, because the propellants were extremely caustic and toxic, and they had to wear these special suits. I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures of the X-35, that thing. Now, we've talked a lot about shock absorbed, shock mounted things. This whole cableway, all of the cold water, chilled water for the air conditioning, and all the electronics and signals and power and stuff are also shock mounted. And this is relatively, the small pieces of this are easy to move, but again, we're not supposed to do that anymore. So the silo is 6 feet thick here. Is that 6 feet? I'm 6 foot. Maybe it's 8 foot thick. And then it tapers down just below here to a lesser thickness. This is because you have to support the silo closure door. And it had to be that thick to support the weight if there was a nearby blast. Here's another one of the little brick launch platforms in the way. This is the airframe N10. It doesn't make sense. If we look at the serial numbers that we know are supplied with this missile, the N10 number doesn't make any sense. I have the disposition of all of the Titan airframes, and we don't really know what's going on with this one, because the number, the light beam hit this device And it came through this window here. In fact, you can see back up there. That's kind of cool. Came through here. Came through this window and into the missile. And you can see if you look over here, IMU Sighting Center. You see that? The beam of light was shined into there, and that aligned the system, the missile. There's only so much room in an elevator. Not everybody likes being in a small elevator. Back in the day when I was involved with the museum more, I was allowed to what I call play in the silo, and that was we take the ladders instead of the elevator. That was a lot of fun. The archives used to be in level 7, so I'd spend a lot of time in the archives. And there's no bathroom down there, so you had to make sure not to drink too much coffee or Coke or anything, or you'd be coming back upstairs. So every day they did a shift verification twice, every 12 hours. They first came on duty, they'd do it, and then 12 hours later they'd do it, and then the next crew that came on would do it. So every 12 hours they would go through the silo and make sure the hydraulics were not leaking, the air conditioning was working, the water filtration system was working properly, etc. So a launch duct door, and these were closed, and this would prevent the launch flames and everything from coming in. This is a shower in case you did get propellant on you. The crew, the people wearing those suits could come in here. This is level 7. This is where the engine access was. These would usually be pulled back out of the way during when the silo was, when the missile was operational. Although Martin Marietta said you could launch the missile even with the platforms in. That's how accurate the launch system was. But this is a, let's see, 22, this is 11.5 ton thrust mount. And these are the, what do they call them? Thrust mount suspension system. These are the big springs. And again, so the missile's held down here. How do you, if it was just, would trigger and lock this into place so it couldn't go up or down or sideways, and then you could launch. If the missile was, so that was the hard condition. To launch, you had to have it in the hard, fixed condition. The soft condition, it was ready to take a nearby blast. This is sound attenuation equipment, panels, and this is used, this is actually discovered, and I talked to the guy who figured this stuff out for the Brits. The Brits did the first in-silo launch, the US didn't, but it gave the US confidence that we could. And the Brits have, if you look down here, you'll see the W, launch W, on either side are the exhaust ducts. So the flame, one flame from one engine would go, one bell would go that way, the other would go the other way. Those big nozzles are sound suppression water. They'd fire water into the large rate per minute, gallons per minute, into the flame to generate steam to help attenuate the energy. And the propellants would be loaded through these valves right here. So that engine set would attach to here, and then you could fill, and then the valve would be shut and you could fill the propellant right here. This is from Star Trek. This has nothing to do with the museum.